Welcome back to another Jazz basketball breakdown. Jazz are rolling
Of
right now.
offensive explosion.
Yeah, which who would have guessed that efficiently we'd be shooting this well? Our whole team seems to be shooting. Efficiency has taken a huge increase over this big stretch. Jordan Clarkson, since he's come back from injury, has his efficiency numbers have been way better than what they were at the start of the season. No question about that.
Absolutely. Made some very difficult shots tonight, and it looked like we had some flair and pizzazz, and
Yeah,
the whole team was doing a whole bunch of stuff. It was
for sure.
shocking.
And it's funny is this game starts and it starts really kind of muddy, Toronto Raptors style basketball game, and I'm thinking, man, we've been on a little bit of a streak right now. This might be a
Scotty Barnes flexes a couple of times, quickly
yep.
flexes a couple of times. Yeah, it was looking like
And
we were coming out the gate.
a team that's been in the Raptors have been very good since they made their trade.
It's been positive for them and the Knicks, really, right? Both teams
Yep,
have
100%. Even
come out and been a little bit better because of it.
even their losses to the Clippers and the Lakers were hard fought battles. That they took the Clippers. I think it ended up being a 6 point loss by them, and they took them all the way down to the wire. And if you guys haven't seen the explosion by the Raptors head coach after the Lakers game, it's worth pulling up and watching because it is quite entertaining. But the famous line of "If the Lakers were supposed to win tonight, just let us know so we don't show up." That in itself was worth that. So, but like I said, the Raptors have been a very good team since the trade, and we didn't just beat them; we beat the freaking crap out of them.
We kind of made our way through the difficult part of the first quarter where they weren't really scoring at will. We weren't really scoring at will.
Yep.
And we kind of were still pulling forward a little bit. And then once we got into the third quarter, we were scoring like crazy. But at the same time,
They were also scoring like crazy because they had wide open shots. I mean,
wide open three after wide open three. I mean, they ended up shooting 50% from three in the game.
right. And that's what's funny is even Holly Rowe after the
Holly
game, right?
Rowe.
She's like, man, this was such a defensive performance. And it's like first half we played like a really good defensive game. In the first half, they shot 36% from the field, and we had a good first half defensively. There's a difference between a good half defensively and a great defensive game. We were horrible defensively, especially in that third. I mean, it was
Yeah, it was really bad.
we went on an offensive explosion, scoring whenever we wanted, and kept the lead. I think we gained 3 points on them in that possession in that quarter.
Yeah.
It's not usually a good sign.
Yeah, that's a sign that you're giving up a lot of easy shots.
And they weren't hitting tough buckets, right? They weren't coming down and hitting
Right.
crazy shots that you're like, man, they're just hitting right now. Nope. It was layup or wide open three whenever they wanted.
And they didn't have their big man this game, and so I mean, we appropriately killed them on the glass. Absolutely dominated them on the rebounds.
Yes, 100%.
Um,
Which that's a big reason why you end up blowing a team like this out, even if they're shooting well in the second half like that, is because any miss, they don't get second chance points. We get second chance
we get
points.
second chance points. And we get a chance at the end of the game for our young rooks to come in. And, man, that was fun. Sensabaugh finally starting to get, I think, like you said, other than kind of maybe some little scramble stuff, those were his actual real first shots.
Yeah.
I think that I can remember. And, man, he felt comfy right away.
Dude looks like he could come in and be an immediate impact scorer off the bench. And the big knock on Bryce Sensabaugh is fitness and defense. That he's just a horrible defensive liability. From what he's shown, very small minutes. Right? Not full games, not when you're starting to get tired. But from what he's shown, he's at least willing to work on the defensive side. And I can work with that. If you're a 6-man role player, whatever type guy, and you come in and your job is come score the hoop, if you're at least working your ass off on the defensive side of the court to try to, not to just not give up easy looks, I can live with that all day. If you even if you are a bad defender, but you're at least working and trying to grow with that, I can work with that.
So are you saying, is it time yet?
It can be time. I mean,
all right, hold on. You're saying, are there players in the NBA that don't give a crap and don't try on defense?
There's a few. I can think of a few. We said our good stuff about Clarkson, and there's no question about the good. There is not. And I was really excited. I was telling them before this game, you know what? Hopefully he comes out, has a really good game. We can talk really positively about him. And then I watched the game, and I'm just curious of the Clarkson fans. Do you not give a crap about defense either? Because truthfully, the amount of possessions, Clarkson comes down and he scores, but then immediately comes down and just gives up a wide open layup or a wide open three, and you're just like, so we gained nothing there, and that's part of the third quarter explosion, right?
Yeah,
Clarkson shot well in the third quarter, also gave up a lot of wide open shots.
and we understand that there are players that they are not as good at defenders. We want to see effort. And we don't want to see your guys posting you up. We don't want to see you step back and give the space to try and reach around and slap them and do that rec center all-star crap. That's the part that irritates.
Yeah.
When you have a group around them that everybody's trying, at least give the effort. We understand that there are some fantastic players in the NBA, but give some effort.
And that's my thing. Like I said, I can live with you not being a good defender if you're trying. If it's clear you're out there trying and that's not your role on the team, I can live with that. Mm-hmm. I can be okay with some shots being given up by you that wasn't out of laziness, was just out of you not understanding the read, and you're at least hustling and trying. It's the so many freaking possessions of just standing there and not communicating, not even caring if your guy's wide open.
Count the amount of times that we got hit by heavy-bodied back screens in this game today. It was a lot. Mm-hmm. It was a lot more than we normally had. We had an offensive three-point explosion. I think we shot 48% from three, something like that, which is our last few games before that. We haven't shot that great from three, but our defense was stronger.
Yep.
And we still were able to pull away from teams. So this was by far the cleanest offensive explosion game that we've had.
No question.
I mean, unbelievable. Imagine, and I don't expect this, but imagine if we actually have the backbone of defense and have some sort of an offensive explosion. I mean, we can hang with some of the top teams.
And we had some guys who had a great defensive performances tonight. Chris Dunn came out really strong on the defensive side of the court and then just never saw the court again. Agbaji came out, and this is a game Agbaji needs. His shot's still not there, and he's in a weird, awful funk right now. Probably the worst of his career. But still made huge impact, hustling, defensive rebounds, and a couple really big defensive plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kessler on the defensive side was a monster. I'd be curious if you can look up how many blocks he had tonight, because it felt like he had a bunch. And then these guys kept trying to switch Scotty Barnes on to Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
And that's not a good matchup for them. I get Scotty Barnes is very strong, but Scotty Barnes just trying to post up Markkanen and go one-on-one into Markkanen. Markkanen is very strong himself and a solid defender. And he kept trying to go up, and it's just, you don't understand how lanky and athletic freaking Markkanen is with all that strength. It's not an easy just bump him and try to shoot.
And Markkanen's in a stretch where he seems to be taking on the physicality role, even extra from where I've ever seen him be. So I agree that Scotty Barnes is a stud. He should seek out other matchups. If they're trying to hunt a matchup, that's not the most ideal for him.
Exactly.
Kessler ends up with 3 blocks and 1 steal.
And it felt like 8.
He affected a lot of shots. He had 12 points on 5 of 5 shooting just in 20 minutes. But moving around and still gets alley-oop dunks while getting his eyeball ripped out of his head.
Dude.
At the end.
I don't know how that wasn't
when he looks at the ref after as he's running down the court, I agree. I'm like, my face is bleeding. That should get the call right there alone.
But going back to Markkanen and kind of not just defensively tonight, he offensively with very little shots.
7 for 11.
He might be the least selfish star in the league. Because there's a stretch, and we need to get better as a team about this. There's a stretch in the third quarter where Markkanen goes on fire. He hits, I think it was like 4 straight possessions, and it wasn't just like he was hitting open looks. He hit a tough three-pointer, had a couple really strong drives, gets fouls, has a dunk, and you can tell he's going after that physicality and taking that on, and no one on this team can stop him.
Best player on the court right there.
There was like 3-4 minutes left in the quarter. We then just kind of go stand in the corner, Markkanen, spot up. We got this. That drives me nuts. Seek the hot hand. I don't care who's on fire, whether it's Markkanen, Clarkson, Keontae George, Fontecchio, whoever is on that run, let them go until they like, okay, they've cooled down a little bit. But I go back to this a lot. We talk about this a lot. The Warriors during their dynasty run were great about finding the hot hand. Whoever was on fire, it didn't matter who it was. Every single person on that team would search them out and seek that matchup out to get them the ball because they knew they were on fire.
Not just on their first action.
Correct.
If the first action's covered, it doesn't matter. They go around, reset, hit the screen, come over on the other side, and they wait.
Yes.
You wait. You wait until they come in there open, and you get them the damn ball. That's how it goes.
And that's the thing is, like, especially a guy like Markkanen, right? The really good shooters, even like Clarkson. When these guys get on fire, just let them go because that could go for the entire quarter. Markkanen could have easily scored 20 plus points in that quarter.
I agree.
But instead, we have him go stand in the corner. Part of that's the players on the team. Part of that's the coaching as well. That's something I want to see us improve on because you want to start taking those next steps. You really need to, when teams clamp down like that, you search those, you seek those matchups and those hot runs during the game because that's how you win games.
And if you've got a player, one of the knocks on Markkanen, right, is maybe he's not that killer alpha all the time, go for the throat. Part of that too, like you're saying, is on the coach, where the coach has to say, no, here's where it goes.
Yep.
This is our guy. Obviously in real life and out there in the public, you want to have somebody who's nice and humble, and he's probably a great neighbor.
Yeah.
Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Mows his lawn, doesn't talk too much, doesn't let his dog get into your stuff.
Right.
Great neighbor.
On the court, we
need him to be a killer.
To kill everyone.
Need him to be a killer.
Yeah, you need to have that mentality, and he seems to be growing into that. He attacks more physical matchups, offensively and defensively, this year than I've ever seen him.
It's true. It's true. There's definitely his rebounding has been much better this year.
Yep.
His attacking the physical matchups, he hasn't backed down from that. Much better this year, and I see him actually being more verbal out there with the team than I've ever seen him be.
Yes,
that's noticeable.
I love watching that dude play basketball, man. He makes it look so easy.
To have a dude like that's 7 feet and that big and can move and shoot like that, I mean, what a specimen. That's incredible.
And we can't talk about Markkanen without mentioning he just won, I believe, Finland Athlete Player of the Year. Athlete of the Year. Sports
person, non-hockey.
Right.
No, it involves hockey too. That's a big deal.
Yes. I believe, correct me, Finns, if I'm wrong, I believe they said he was the first basketball player to win it in Finland.
That's interesting.
And so, I mean, it makes sense, right? With the amount of incredible hockey players and other sports that they've had. Normally basketball isn't kind of that first when you think of stars, right? Like superstars. And so that kind of makes sense. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard that when I was read it when I was reading the article about Markkanen on that.
That's very cool. I don't know much about the history of it. But I know that he's got a lot of national pride. So that means a lot to him, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. I don't know. I enjoy guys wherever they're from, whether it's this, the U.S. or Finland or Serbia or wherever they're from. I enjoy seeing them come and dominate in their sport and and play really well in their sport, but still love to go play in like FIBA and stuff like that and compete for their nation as well. It's really cool to see the star players be willing to do that.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've
something we need to be better about.
We've get into that whole rabbit hole. We've had a kind of a long stretch with it. I mean, back to Karolinko and I mean quite a few international players that were pretty good for their country as well. I'm thinking the wrong name. Okur. I was saying Turkoglu in my head. That's not right. Similar country. Mehmet Okur.
Yes.
That's very cool, though, the international piece of it. We have a game tomorrow against the Lakers, and we are at 500 right now. We were tied with the Lakers going in tonight. I think they had the night off, or did they play? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they had the night off.
So they'll be coming in. We'll be a half game ahead of them, and that'll be a decent matchup.
And that's what's super important about a game like tonight.
Yeah.
We blew out the Raptors with the Lakers coming to town tomorrow. A pretty important game. The Lakers have beat us once this year. We only play them 3 times this year. So tomorrow could really decide, that matchup, that head-to-head matchup. And we are right there with them in the standings. All of that. It's a really important game for us to be able to rest our starters down the stretch and not really play like Markkanen at all in the fourth. Clarkson really didn't play a lot in the fourth. Colin Sexton only played 20 minutes tonight.
For some reason, we still play Chris Dunn all the way to the end, though. For some reason.
Because we have a third-string guard that we just don't trust. But, yeah, it's
unspeakable.
It's very important for a game like tonight to come out and be able to blow them out, to not just let our young guys play, but you give these guys rest, and so they're still refreshed for a game tomorrow. And we're rolling right now. That it's a huge game, but I'm excited for that game. I'm excited for the way we're playing right now going into that game.
It's crazy the amount of excitement that's going on and the trajectory and the way that this team has come together. I don't know if it's the best coaching job ever in the NBA history or the worst preseason ever. I don't know which one it was, dude. Because my preseason pick for the Jazz was that they would finish 9th. And that we would be, pretty decent all the way up through. At first, it looked like
we started, and I was like, "We're going to be freaking 14th.
We're going to get the number 1 pick." So I'm not sure which one it is. We talked a little bit about this last show, and I just kind of want to bring up there were some Jazz writers. We feel that one of the strengths of this show with us is we're not tied to the organization. Obviously, we don't have inside information. We don't have all this stuff, but at the same time, we don't have to say the nice, I'm tied to the Jazz crap. We can speak our minds and call something a big old turd when we think it's a turd.
Right.
That's the strength, basically, we think of our situation in our show. There has been kind of some Jazz writers talking back and forth about, why would we be interested in trading this player or that player if we're winning right now? Which means that they have no idea as far as trying to project what we're trying to do as an organization.
Yeah.
If we are trying to win the most games possible this year, it would be smart to keep some of our vets. And it would be smart maybe if we just add a piece or something like that for right now, even if they're kind of outside of the ideal window, to win right now, right?
Right.
But it has been said many times by the owner, by the front office, that we are aiming for a championship, a parade.
Yeah.
Right? To do that, it does make sense for us to trade a few of the pieces that maybe don't fit right now, even though they are contributing. The fact that they are contributing means they have value in the league, which means some other teams would
be willing to give up
stuff for it, 100%. Right?
And
And so a situation where maybe we win a few less games this year to get even better the next year and the year after that and year after that makes a lot of sense. This is basic stuff, I feel, and something we shouldn't have to explain to Jazz writers.
Right.
That's amazing.
Well, and you even mentioned somebody, there's been comments by the fans. The fans clearly see it. The fans know. Comments by the fans of like, well, people want these trades because we're looking for the future, not
right now, not short-sighted.
Short-sighted, and the arguments ensue there, and it's comical, right? Because it's like it takes you back to the Dennis Lindsey run Jazz that you are content with being a regular season team, and I'm not. I want to see us go win our first championship. I want to do what Denver did, right? But it takes time. It takes willingness to play young players. That's why I'm okay with if we trade Olynyk, who Olynyk's giving us really good minutes. Olynyk's playing really well with the players on the team right now, and at times, it can really just makes you laugh, when he's on the court because he does funny things and good things and bad things and whatever, but I'd rather see Taylor Hendricks get those minutes right now. Because in 2 to 3 years, that's more important.
Absolutely true. And so I don't know. It bugs the crap out of me when I read articles or hear people talk that are inside, that see practices, that are around the staff and around the coaches in press conferences and in interviews, that have that kind of access, that still can't cover that basic concept. You know, if we're trying to win now, we never would have traded Conley. Or when we got Westbrook, we probably wouldn't have bought his contract out.
Yeah, we probably
would have had him play, because he was a monster when you give somebody like that a lot of usage, right? But that doesn't, I mean, all these pieces line up. It's simple.
Yeah.
We are aiming for a championship, a parade. And so to do that, you have to kind of sacrifice pieces that are contributing now to the teams that want to win now. And we're not that team. And hopefully they'll give us a piece back that's better, that's an asset, or contributes to winning in 2-3 years. So that's the piece of the puzzle. And that's why we still think that Markkanen is such a fit here, because he's still going to be super strong 2, 3, 4, 5, years down the road.
And that's the thing, right? His play style will allow him, as long as health and things like that. But play style wise, he's a guy who for 8 to 10 years could still be a 1-2 level star on a team, because of his type of play. It's he obviously, I think they're very different players, but he obviously had a lot of comparisons to Dirk when he got drafted, because international white player comes in, good shooter. Those similarities all make sense. But Dirk, because of his play style, and he changed his play style as he got older to be more, kind of, that he ended up gaining that kind of his famous step, one-footed fall away shot.
Yep.
Markkanen is the type of player who's going to be able to lean on strength and lean on his jumper, and not necessarily having to be a freak athlete or anything like that to be a star for 8-10 years.
Absolutely agree. And you mentioned it too. That's assuming that health is still decent, right? Because that kind of thing kind of can roll the dice and jump up and bite you. But he's got this height and the skills to be able to add that to his repertoire and change his game, as the great players do.
That's
that's his wedding ring.
My wedding ring.
He's had enough.
It's my ADHD play thing.
That's true. That's so true. But yeah, it's so. Anyways, just back to the whole Utah Jazz riders. Yeah, we're Utah Jazz riders with access that don't understand the pathway and what we're trying to do. Come on.
No kidding.
You have all the access. This is your damn full-time job.
Right.
And you've got fans arguing with you. Nuh-uh. Come on.
Exactly.
We are trying to win a championship. That's why it makes sense to trade some of the players now to build ourselves up over these next couple of years. And obviously, it depends on what kind of deals we can get. Ainge obviously doesn't accept a deal unless he can murder you and your entire family. It's just what he likes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's very good at it too.
Yeah. So that's what goes. But
that's what's fun.
I got that off my chest.
That's what's fun about games like this, honestly. Right? We blew these guys out. We can talk about that for a minute, and it's really fun. And most of the team played really well. I think John Collins played pretty bad tonight. But overall, most of the team played pretty well. Keontae had really good minutes that he contributed. All these guys had Fontecchio had a nice little run that he had for us. But then we can talk about the other things and things like that and kind of go more into future and stuff, because what more can you really talk about beyond, we played great. we're rolling right now. That's kind of why I enjoy the blowouts a little bit in that side of things, because we get to speculate a little bit more and have more fun on that side of things.
And we still kind of get after Jazz people and appreciate parts of it, even when we were getting blown out by 30, right? And when we're up too, it's kind of what it is, and we think about the Jazz stuff and enjoy it, and that's what we do.
Exactly, and that's what we do, and it's not just right after the games, right? This is our phones, our texts are back and forth all the time
for years.
What if we do this, or we could do this, or what if we do this? And so it's fun to voice it with you guys and hear your guys' opinions, because as the channel has grown, which has been awesome by you guys, but as the channel has grown, you start to see more and more of the Jazz community, and you start to see more and more of Jazz community. A lot of them think similar in certain aspects, or see that kind of side of things has been fun for me with our show.
Absolutely. And we've had commenters saying, it'd be fun to sit there and watch games or analyze Jazz stuff together. We would love that. That's what we do every day. We would love that.
Yeah.
Sign us up, man. I'm down. Our wives sometimes might get a little perturbed because we're talking a little bit too much basketball with each other, but that's kind of what we're trying to.
Yeah, exactly. That's
what we do. And that's kind of, we've said this before, but that's kind of how the show thing came together. Is like, we talk and do this stuff all the time anyways. Let's just turn on a camera.
So what's funny is for you guys, before this season, it all last season, every game, we'd get done with the game. We'd go upstairs with my dad, depending on if he was asleep or not, and sit in the kitchen and for 30, 45 minutes, talk about the game, talk about what it leads to. And oh, well, because this is happening, this could happen, and do this. And so it was like, it's pretty natural, just like we do it anyway.
Yeah. That's why we don't ever have takes, or you'll see a dog will come in the camera and we won't even care. We just keep rolling. Right. It's always first, one shoot. It's not scripted. It's just what we do, and we have fun with it, and we would enjoy participation and other people being in on it.
Yeah, the comments and stuff have been great, and at the end of the day, the long rant of this is we appreciate you guys, and we've loved doing this. We want to really grow this channel with you guys and be able to do this continuously, and as the year goes on and the next couple seasons and stuff, and see where this goes. It's been fun.
Loved it.
Lakers tomorrow. Hopefully we kill them. 4-game win streak against some tough teams. Milwaukee got pissed and went and blew out the Celtics. And so hopefully we can come in and kind of smack the Lakers and keep this stretch rolling right now.
And we're at 500. Who would have guessed that?
With how bad our season started, I would have bet money we would never touch 500 this year.
Yeah. And if I were to have to guess, I would say that we're probably burning a little bit hotter than what our level really is right now.
For sure.
And before, we were kind of scraping the bottom a little bit lower, never too high, never too low kind of thing. Probably somewhere there in the middle, but still aiming for super high levels, years down the road is what we're building for. So,
and there's no question right now, we are the hottest team in basketball over the last 11 games, 10 games.
Yeah, it's true. That's insane, the numbers that we're putting up.
Or 12 games. We're 10-2 over the last 12.
Which is tops in the NBA.
Yep. So
never would have seen that coming.
Hopefully we run this tomorrow. See what happens with the Lakers coming into town. We've got a good stretch of games coming up. And so keep the offensive going and clamp a little bit better on the defensive side to have better defensive numbers like we had in the first half of this game. Do that for the full game. I'd like to see that.
Because I think we do have the players to do it.
Yep, 100%.
I think we're getting closer on the rotations. Not quite there yet, getting closer.
But 100%. Thanks, guys.